This is my part 1 review of the Silynx Clarus Pro, where I'll go over the basic use of this hearing protection system and then 5 scenarios of practical field use. This is not intended to be exhaustive. In part 2 I'll cover subjects like radio connectivity, making and receiving calls, etc. But of course, that won't happen until I get a second set of these, so we'll pray for a miracle. Enjoy. Okay, so the reason why I bought these is that standard earplugs just make you deaf to everything. What I wanted was hearing protection that didn't sacrifice situational awareness, like the electronic earmuffs you might buy. Thing is, the big bulky earmuffs really suck to wear, especially in the heat, wearing a helmet, laying down with a rifle. They weigh a lot, the batteries don't last. Anyway, I searched around for a while until I, of course, finally found these. Okay, the Silynx Clarus Pro. This is, of course, the box. It's got some technical information on it that's available on their website, silynxcom.com. And what comes with it. This is kind of the first thing I wanted to point out was the 4 ring and tip cable that you get with it. I'm going to talk more about this in video number 2 because I need a second set of these to really do all the interfacing stuff and testing that I wanted to do with them. So you get those. Basically, they'll be able to turn on and off your cell phone calls and music and all that. So you get an instruction manual, a sticker. You get these wire feed-through things that are somewhat rigid to put around your ears to keep them, I guess, from pulling on you too much. I've worn them in many different scenarios, and I really haven't found any need for them at all. These are kind of the more important thing to point out. The dark colored ones, these black ones, are for moderate noise. The colored ones, this set, are for high noise, higher pressures. You get multiple sizes in each one. They're kind of color-coded on the inside, white, blue, red, and then of course these ones are color-coded on the outside, so that's kind of cool. I've tried them both out. I really didn't notice any difference between the two, but I'm not all that observant, so there's no wonder why. So this thing is pretty sweet. It's a nice hard case. It's got a pretty heavy-duty O-ring seal in there. It's pretty nice to be able to store them. I mean, the thing's waterproof, dustproof, all that stuff anyway, but no sense in having them in a case that doesn't actually protect them at all. So here these puppies are. It kind of comes wrapped up in this cable retention thing. I really don't use it. I found it to be a little bit overkill. It's kind of neat on the packaging aspect of it because it keeps it from rattling up and down inside there, which basically having a little piece of foam in there wouldn't hurt if you got it in your pocket to keep it from rattling around. Comes with a AAA battery. This thing will last 100 hours. On which volume setting, I'm not entirely certain, but let's start out with that. Okay, so pretty tight, pretty nice, pretty solid for this piece here. It's got a O-ring seal on there. You've got the plus and minus marks actually on the outside here. I know you can't see it because the camera quality isn't all that great. But yeah, it just slips in there like that. Pretty simple to install the battery. Okay, so let's follow this thing from the unit itself all the way to the other end. This is where you would plug in your 3.5 millimeter jack to access, which I guess they are making some cables for this, the basic Pro model, that can interface with radios, but for the most part it's for civilian use so that you can be able to still use your cell phone while wearing them. Got this nice little clip here. It can attach to your molly, or what I do is attach it to the side of my pants, and then I loop my belt over the outside of it. That protects it, also keeps it from slipping off or anything, and I can still reach the menu button. The menu button here is pretty cool. It's pretty tactile, feels pretty strong. To use it, you press and hold it for a few seconds and it'll come on to medium volume. Then you press it again to come on to high volume, then super normal hearing. Pressing it again, it'll go back down to high, medium, low, and then it won't turn the unit off on the last setting, it'll just shut off the hear through. So it's just like wearing regular earplugs that don't do anything at that point. And then as you cycle back up, the volume will go higher, and you press and hold to get it to shut off. It's pretty simple. Okay, so I would say, by my own estimation, that this cabling feels pretty rugged, pretty durable. It was designed for the military, so it's got to be all that in a bag of chips as far as that's concerned. The rating on these, the IPX rating, I believe it's somewhere around 6 to 7. They had another rating on it, it's just that I'm not familiar with it entirely. So you can be able to dunk it underwater and get mud and dirt and the rest of the stuff on it, and stays protected, stays running. That's what's important. At the end of the black cabling here, you've got your actuation button here that essentially works specifically with interfacing another device, iTouch or your cell phone or whatever, and then you've got a pinhole microphone here that you would actually talk into. So much like your iPhone headphones that allow you to be able to answer calls, that works like that. These things feel pretty strong. I would say you probably shouldn't store this in the sun. The second law of thermodynamics and small children will destroy them. So yeah, you kind of have to make sure you protect them. This lanyard retention thing is pretty swift. It's kind of a hard rubber. It's pretty neat. And here you have your left and your right earbuds. The microphone for these is basically a little pinhole mic on the outside of them, so that when this thing fits flush, it's not having to try to hear through another part of your skin on your ear or anything else. It's basically just on the outside there. And basically what you do is you get the ear foamy piece that you like, you insert it into the earbud pin here, and instead of pushing on it, it's better just to kind of grip onto it and twist them on. There's no threads or anything. It's just that just makes it easier to get them on there. And then yeah, there's no way they're going to be falling off or anything. So there it is. Like I said, I'll do interfacing on the next video, but for the most part, yeah, let's get to trying them on. You get to see my ugly mug, and we'll take it through a few paces, a few scenarios, and give you an idea of what they're capable of. Excellent. Alright, so I've had these for about a week now, and I figured out the best way for me to actually attach them. You got your earplugs on one side, and of course your lanyard tightener, and then just distal from that you can see the little button on there. That's your push to talk and your mic, of course. So you want to make sure that that's accessible no matter where you do it, whether you loop it down your back or front or wrap it around your forehead. Anyway, so what I do, first off, keeping everything off of my right shoulder. It's imperative that you be able to function your rifle without anything getting in the way of it. So just keep all your accessories off to the left-hand side. Okay, so you find your right and your left. What I do is wrap it around my left side, because that's where the cable's going to be. You might as well get it into position. I'm going to loop it right over my earlobe first, and then get it straight to where the wire is pointing forward or anterior. I'm just going to set them into my ear on both sides, wrap it around, put it in there, making sure that the wire's pointed straight. Then I'm going to reach over, grab onto my ear, and set them in there. If you try to roll the foamy thing first, it doesn't really work because it inflates before you get a chance to get back to it. So pressing that in there nice and easily, and then I go to the back side here, find my lanyard loop tightener, and it's nice and tight. And then I've got the rest of it, and I usually just loop it nice and easy and then Velcro it somewhere in the center. You don't want to do it at the top because you don't want to break anything. And then it runs down the left-hand side, and attach it to your gear if you need it to, otherwise it really doesn't matter. Okay, so now that I've got those in, I'll put on my helmet. The back side of my helmet here pushes against the wires, so it actually helps to reinforce it in case they get somewhat snagged. So grab that thing, and I'm good to go. Now I've got this right where I need it, the microphone button right where I can get to it. I'm sure you could loop this in another way to do your cable management, but yeah, whatever you want. Awesome. Okay, FYI, we should be wearing earplugs when pressures are at or exceeding 80 decibels. The Pro seems to operate in the high frequency range, sort of suppressing the pressures of the lower ranges. One myth of hearing loss is that it's an injury to the tympanic membrane or eardrum, when actually sound damages the hair lining of the cochlea. Here's a cross-section of a healthy cochlea versus the damaged one, right in the mid-range. The complexity of sounds is not the pressure, intensity, or frequency of the sounds themselves. Okay, the Clarus Pro already edits these. Rather, the 5 scenarios I want to discuss gradate from simple sound settings to complex sound settings. First on our list is hunting and sniping. While hunting, in a single shooter scenario, the ambient sounds really only range from chirping birds to squirrels climbing about. The need for situational awareness varies from the sounds of your prey, other animals considering you prey, and other hunters. Not too complex. In the world of sniping, however, a dual shooter spotter scenario adds the need to communicate. But we need to do this very quietly. Now having the ability to hear amplified whispers, we can take a shot with confidence knowing we haven't missed any crucial information.
Well, currency is currency. That's right.
Okay, so we finally get to do an actual range test, and it's been absolutely awesome today. Clipping sounds, heavy pressures from 308s, 556, all the above. Still being able to hear ambient sounds, people chit-chatting, and range masters telling you when you can and can't go down range. It's been awesome. So I definitely think that the Clarus Pro flying colors at the shooting range in a simple sound setting. I'll bring up that I'm wearing the medium ear sponges that they give, and I'm not entirely certain if that was the best idea. I think maybe the higher pressure ones for the shooting range when someone's actually firing next to you would be a better idea. So I might switch those out and see how well they work. But anyway, pressure coming off of the POF 308 is absolutely gnarly. So we're going to give it a shot, so to speak, at point blank range. And when I close the bolt carrier group just now, it clipped the sound off. So that was pretty good. So I'm just going to take a shot, see how it feels at point blank.
And you want to private? Yes. Private instruction. I think she'd be more comfortable with that for a company.
Yeah, these are probably the best thing invented for a shooting range scenario. Absolutely. Okay, it's surprisingly comfortable to shoot, much like the earplugs, except now I can hear absolutely everything going on. So if someone say something or someone's walking around, even behind me, I can hear the crunch of the footsteps and all that, even while that's taking place. So yeah, I'd say at the shooting range, huge success. So here at the pistol range, usually there's a lot more going on. It's kind of cleared out right now, but usually at the pistol ranges you're going to have multiple people shooting, multiple people talking, and it can get a little bit more erratic than the rifle range can. So what we're going to do is we're going to run some 45 ammo through it, and I think this will be a pretty good test because the pressures that come out of the 45 are pretty heavy. Yeah, this is these are totally awesome. Probably my favorite toy. Number 2 on our list is breaching and combat. Though the sound is not real complex during breach setup, mostly good-to-go voices or shoulder squeezes, it gets crazy all at once when the breaching signal is given. Then a flashbang, shouting, shooting, and then it's simple again. In the world of combat, all of these sounds are erratically combined. The ability to receive verbal information is now crucial to survival. Wearing standard earplugs will get you killed. You probably wouldn't have guessed construction and traffic to make number 3 on this list. This scenario is not an erratic sound setting, rather a constant white noise at various pitches. Imagine standing next to an idling semi while listening for voices. Then add multiple shapes of tire traffic passing by with someone weed-eating next to you, dozens of revving motors, heavy equipment slamming the earth, all the radio chatter, and a coworker razzing you. The situation is not as complex as combat, it's the pitch combination complexity that I want you to consider. The scenario requires massive acclimation to the headset. Like a soldier, construction workers very rarely use standard earplugs because they can get you killed. Water and white noise make up number 4, and there's no getting around it. In a sound studio, the noise gate can filter it, but at the cost of close proximity miking. Take a look at this video clip. Okay, so I'm going to try to block the wind as best as possible so that that little microphone doesn't just get totally washed out. But yeah, it is kind of how you would imagine with the human ear, you know, down at the beach, somebody up the beachhead a little ways shouting down to you, you're not going to hear them at all. It's just too much white noise. It'd be nice to be able to have another set of these and be able to shout back and forth and, you know, be able to test, you know, the varying ranges of noise you'd have to be able to give off in order for the other person to hear. And I've got them on low right now, and it's just like a kind of a light hiss. So I'll hit that, go to medium. That added a little bit of bass to it, and yeah, a little bit better depth. There's high. Didn't really change it much, it just made the sound itself louder, so it must be keeping that high band frequency range. And that's super normal hearing on there, and it really, there's no way to describe it. It's just kind of like a radio station that's giving off static, or an old TV or something like that, when there's nothing being played on it. Another honorable mention is that it's not like it's some kind of hiss or something like that. You know, the waves do have an audible crashing noise, somewhat individually, even though there's, you know, a few hundred of them. But yeah, you can distinguish it. So you still get intelligible sounds out of it. It's not like it's just washing everything together and creating a high-pitched sound. So yeah, this place is absolutely beautiful. Check it out. Okay, so judging by the last video, wind makes it to the top of our list at number 5. Wind is the Achilles heel to any microphone. So if anything, I hope this next clip helps you to circumvent the inevitable gust of wind. So for the beach wind test, I figured this would be the best spot without going to Chicago. I've got my Kestrel Horos 4500 weather machine here. Just before we get started, I wanted to bring up the pinhole mic on this thing. It doesn't have any sort of fluffy wind protection, just like the pinhole mic on that iTouch. Okay, so we're going to aim the wind meter directly toward the wind, get a wind reading. Okay, it's only about 8 miles per hour. Now what I'm hearing when I look directly at the wind, both mics in the ears are kind of getting blasted a little bit. I have it on high, but not super high. that about wraps it up for part 1. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoy part 2 if, it exists somewhere out there in tube land.